the Gospel of Luke today, if you want to follow along in your pew Bibles. I'm reading from Message translation this morning, just a little bit easier, a little bit more friendly for us. We're making our way through the 50 days after Easter. Have you been tracking that? So that Easter kind of theme still sticks. And you're still hearing in the text stories of those immediate, day of, day after resurrection. So, we seemingly have moved past that a couple weeks now, but the scripture text still has us back there because all the story has not been told yet. So the setup for today should be somewhat familiar to most of you, and that is the story about the road to Emmaus. You heard of Emmaus? There's a very large movement about the Emmaus community within the United Methodist Church, and they have gatherings, retreats, very weekendy type thing, pretty intense experiences, and it sort of bases on this scripture right here, Road to Emmaus. So we're going to listen to that text today and then have a little bit of discussion time. The road to Emmaus. So this is the same day, Resurrection Day. So you remember what's happened so far. Mary's gone to the tomb and thinks she sees, the gardener, angel, something there, and Jesus reveals himself to her, and she says, what? Give me one more time. What does she say? I've seen the Lord. Mary Magdalene, just one person that he's appeared to at this point. Okay? So the news has not spread exactly like wildfire. She went back to tell the disciples. They thought she just saw some ghosts, didn't really believe her. Okay, who would? Right? So this is not widespread knowledge here yet. So after Mary came back and said that to some of the disciples, then a couple of the disciples then ran back to the grave to check it out for themselves. And they sort of walked away confused about it all too. So road to Emmaus, that same day, 2 of them, now these were not the 11, these were other followers. 2 of them, it just says, were walking to the village Emmaus, and about 7 miles away from Jerusalem. So that's a pretty good walk. That's a couple hours walk. 7 miles out of Jerusalem. They were deep in conversation as they walked along the road, going over all of the things that had happened this last day and 2. In the middle of their talk and questions, Jesus came up and walked along with them, but they were not able to recognize who he was. So they're just strolling along the road, Jerusalem to Emmaus. Somebody joins them on their walk as they're talking away. Jesus asked them, "What's this you're discussing so intensely as you walk along?" And they just stood there sort of long-faced, like they had lost their best friend. And then one of them said, his name was Cleopas, and he said, "Are you the only one in Jerusalem who has not heard what happened during these last few days?" Very small amount of time here. And he says to them, "What has happened?" And they said, "The things that happened to Jesus the Nazarene. He was a man of God, a prophet, dynamic in work and word, blessed by both God and all the people. And then our high priests and our leaders betrayed him. They got him sentenced to death, and they crucified him. And we had our hopes that he was the one. The one about to deliver Israel. And now it is the third day since it happened, since the crucifixion. And early this morning, they were at the tomb and could not find the body. And they came back with a story that they had seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. So some of our friends then went off to the tomb to check and found it empty, just as the woman said. But they didn't see Jesus either. Nobody's believing at this point. You got that? Except Mary. So then Jesus says to them, "Oh, so thick-headed, so slow-hearted. Why can't you simply believe all that the prophets said? Don't you see that these things had to happen, that the Messiah had to suffer only then so that he could enter into glory?" And then he started at the beginning with the books of Moses, and he went on through all the prophets, pointing out everything in the scriptures that referred to him. Now, as they, walking along the road, came to the edge of the village, a couple hours later, 7 miles, where they were headed, Jesus acted as if he were going on further, but they pressed him to stay and have supper with us. "It's nearly evening," they said. "The day is done." And so he went in with them. And here is what happened. He sat down at the table with them, and taking the bread, he blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it to them. And at that moment, their eyes were open, and they could see. I lost my place. There I am. Sorry. Let me track back here. Taking the bread, he blessed it, broke it, gave it to them. And at that moment, their eyes opened, wide open. They recognized him at that moment. And then Jesus disappeared. I had to get that right? He took the bread, broke it, gave it to them. Eyes were open. They recognized him, and he disappeared. So back and forth, they talked to themselves. "Didn't we feel on fire as he conversed with us on the road?" they said, "as he opened up the scriptures for us." They did not waste a minute. They were up, and they were on their way back to Jerusalem. How far? And what time of day was it? Yeah. This is after supper. After supper. In the evening, they head off on their couple-hour walk back to Jerusalem, where they just came from. They did not waste a minute. Jesus revealed himself, and boom, back they go. They found the 11 So that's how you know this was not of the original. They found the 11 and their friends gathered together, talking away. It's really happened. The master has been raised up. Simon saw him. Now, the numbers are increasing, okay? Then the two went over everything that had happened on the road and how they recognized Jesus when he broke the bread. While they were saying all this, Jesus appeared to them again and said, "Peace be with you. Peace be with you." You heard those words before, right? Peace be with you. Have no fear. They thought they were seeing a ghost. They were scared half to death. Hence the words, "Peace be with you." He continued with them. "Don't be upset," he said. "Don't let all these doubting questions take over." Don't let all your doubting questions take you over. Don't let all your doubting questions take you over. That's fear. And that's not having peace of Christ in you. "Look at my hands," he says to them. "Look at my feet. It's really me. Touch me. Look me over from head to toe. A ghost does not have muscles and bones like this." And as he said this, he showed him his hands and his feet. They still could not believe what they were seeing. It was too much. It seemed too good to be true. They got him right there. They're still not believing. So Jesus then asks them, here you go, "Do you have any food?" That's what it says. "Do you have any food here?" Why do we Methodists eat so much? You know, it's part of sustaining the body and the spirit. It goes together. We can't have them separate. We don't live if they're separated from each other, body and spirit. So Jesus asked, "Do you have any food here?" And so they gave him a piece of leftover fish that they had cooked. He took it and he ate it right in front of their eyes. And then he said to them, "Everything I told you while I was with you comes to this. All the things written about me in the law of Moses and the prophets and the Psalms have to be fulfilled." And he went on to open their understanding of the Word of God, showing them how to read their Bibles this way. He said, "You can see now how it is written that the Messiah suffers, rises from the dead on the third day, and then a total life-changing through the forgiveness of sins is proclaimed in his name to all nations, starting from here, from Jerusalem." Begins their source of so much pain, turmoil, conflict, because it centers right there. "You're the first to hear and see it," he said. "You are the witnesses. What comes next is very important. I'm sending what my Father promised to you, so stay here in the city until he arrives, until you're equipped with power from on high." And then he led them out of the city over to Bethany. And raising his hands, he blessed them. And while blessing them, he took his leave, being carried up into heaven. And they were on their knees, worshiping him. They returned from Bethany to Jerusalem, bursting with joy And they spend all of their time in the temple praising God. Yes. Traveling on the road, talking with your friends, walking a journey. I hear the story talking about not really knowing ever for sure who you're walking with, who you're meeting on the roads, what kind of influence they might have on your life, positive, negative, something in between. The road to Emmaus was a journey. That whole, day or two was this journey, and people coming and going in and out. You meet somebody, they tell you something, you're like, nah, I don't believe that. Meet somebody else, oh, no, don't know, that's a ghost. You're seeing things until you have your own encounter, right? That story goes back and forth. Jesus kept showing up to different people. Nobody was catching it except the one person. When they finally had that one-on-one encounter with him, then, oh, okay, now I did it for myself. The need for us to have people around us to influence, to bring us into relationship with Jesus is critical. But in the end, we have to have one-on-one experiences ourselves. Nobody does it for you. Nobody does the relationship building and connection for you. We are here to help each other grow, to find it, to influence, to lead and direct, but nobody else does that connection for you. You hear that in that road to Emmaus, over and over. They're talking, they're chatting, but it's not until Jesus comes and makes that one-on-one connection in the moment, in the time, in the place, does that sense of believing really get through to here. And in the meantime, before and after, we're wanderers on this road, looking for our way, not knowing who we're walking next to sometimes, who we might influence, who might be helping us along the way, how we get to one place, how we get in the door, how we leave the door. Quite some time ago, I was in some meeting in my office. There were a few of you there. And I wrote this note that I've saved of, this is a question for a Sunday morning for us. And I think it fits well for us today. And I'd like to take a couple minutes to do this. Asking the question of, how did you come to this place? How did you come here? By what invitation? By whose invitation? By what influence? By, what other walk on your journey that got you here? That gives you an opportunity. Char's getting a call from God. That's okay. It happens. So, how did you get here? How did, like those walkers on the road to Emmaus, so Jesus just sidles on up to them and starts a conversation that leads them into, life-changing revelation. You're wandering on a road. Your day can change in the blink of that eye, right? How did you come here? Go ahead.
50 years ago, I have trouble remembering what happened last week. But most of the people I just communicating, besides I was working for Bill Larson, they probably member of the church that we just speak to. Also, I was raised in the Church of Christ, congregational Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in Laverne. These were so similar. But, and with every guys were everybody that we knew, he knew. I didn't know. He did. Joe and Donna was very.
So, major influence for them, if I can summarize it, was a work/friend relationship that attended here and exampled it for him, and I would say at some point probably invited you to come. Okay, perfect. Who else? God's love got you here? In a human form, or just picked you up and dropped you off in a bubble?
Very welcome.
And a sign on the door, did it present itself in some media? You drove past it all the time. Why this place? Oh, that's the truth. Yeah. You do go to places and shop around, and there's a feeling you get from a space. And that is true. Then when you think you're home, you sort of know it.
And the sermon and the message we heard was close to our Northern Baptist.
Northern Baptist. So theirs was summarized a feeling, an energy, a sense of welcome and presence that they experienced when they came within the space. A lot of churches, you go there, you don't feel welcome. And some you do, but then you got to check farther and make sure that what's coming out of the pulpit and around you aligns to some degree with what you believe, because it does matter where you go to church at. You don't just go anyplace. It does matter where you go. It does matter. Who else? Kelly.
We lived in Burton. We used to go to the Mio Methodist Church in Owasso. Dad was raised in Owasso. And all of his family members were married there. That was their church. And he loved the church. When we moved up here, I wanted to find Dad a church where he felt as at home as he did in his United Methodist. And we were out driving around one day and just kind of checking out the road out in Mio and seeing what all was here. And I saw this church and I said, for Dad, and I said, "Look." And that Sunday I said, "Dad, we're going to go to church." And he said, "Where?" I said, "A mile down the road." I said, "There's a Methodist church down there and I want to go." And we walked in, and the one thing I remember is Glenn told us, he said, "Welcome." He said, "If you come back next week, your family." And we did. And I've never felt more of a belonging to the church than I just love it. I love people. I love everything about it. And Dad makes sure he comes every Sunday, and we really enjoy getting out and coming to church. So that's what that is. I'm glad that is coming back.
Similar story to you guys.
Beth and I probably are the simplest of everybody here, because our grandma, back in the old church, started us in kindergarten or in Sunday school. So she got us going, and then my mother started going. And then years later, my dad started going. We've been here since.
The beginning of time. I know. They're sisters, if you don't know that, Kelly.
And then Dennis, when I was a teenager and we started going together, your father was the pastor. I don't know if he liked it, but we started, we've been going ever since he was a teenager. When he was going to be the MOF.
You give her the credit regularly. I've heard you. Yes, you do.
I just wanted to say that she didn't drag me here.
No, I didn't.
Actually, this church wasn't even here at that time. It was in town, the old church. But once you start going, you find, just as Kelly was saying, that the people is what, I shouldn't say it quite that way, the people help bring you back. Not only the minister and the preaching and the sermons and the music, which, we just keep coming back.
You are still here. Years and years.
So our mom used to accompany her when we could. But now that she's gone, we come back because you are all very warm and welcome.
We're old familiar. Done. It's a hard thing to go through the church, closures. It best relates to a death and a grieving process, and how you grieve and let go, but still find beauty and thanks. Like at a funeral celebration, you celebrate the life, you're thankful for the life, at the same time you grieve the loss. Who else? Anybody? Paula?
I came here to go through to inside. And then they taught me how to do that. And then they invited me. Before that, we had a prayer session on when she was 42. And that was how it was.
How does that feel to hear that, Sharon? How does that feel to hear that?
Obviously, really special.
You know, my point in all is that we are all on this journey. We all have a kind of responsibility to help each other if, when, how we can. Inviting somebody else to church, into the fellowship. The statistic runs around 80% of people that come to a church are invited by somebody. They don't just drive along the road, and if they do, they still got to be welcomed when they're inside. 80-some%, 80. You know, and our future still lies in you, the body, inviting people and sharing that, walking along the road and the journey with somebody else who sees you and says, oh, they've got something there. I'm interested in that. And inviting them to come along. Your future, Mio, UMC, is still in your walking that Emmaus road with other people on the journey who aren't sure what they've seen, what they know, what they've experienced. But you can help lead them to a meeting and an encounter with Jesus. You lead them to the door. You bring them into the presence, and you let God do the rest of it. You let the Spirit do the rest. We are all on a journey, and others won't know to come unless you are willing to share. If you want this place to live long into the future, what do you have to do? Live the light, be the light, invite others to be part of your glow. You don't have to do all the work. God will swoop in and take it over, okay? But it starts. They're watching. I have 6 more Sundays here. I'm going to try and hit some hard messages home these next few weeks, right? You know, and I just you have to be part of that. Be proud about where you worship at. Share other people what it means to you and how it helps you, and leave it up to them if they want to come and do it too. But that's what you got to do that. Be proud of what you're part of here. Not an arrogant, boastful pride, but a pride as in you think it's a good thing. All right. My lovely husband came with me today. Yeah. And so we're going to do a music for you. This one. I think we've done it once before. I don't know. But I'm a lost wayfaring stranger. I just think it fits because we're all on this journey wandering and, you know, sort of trying to get our way home, but we got stuff to do in the meantime. So give us just a minute to get set up, and Stephen's playing along with us too.
Did you want this? I had printed off a sheet if you want to use them.
She's got it on her pen.
Okay.
Amen.